She crossed oceans for love, only to be treated like a burden. His mother despised her. His silence cut deeper than words. But what they didn't know was she was writing everything down. And when she finally speaks, their perfect world will fall apart. Lina came to America with big hopes. She married Josh, a tall man with kind eyes and soft hands. He smiled a lot. Lina thought she was lucky, but the smile didn't last long. Josh's house was big and cold. His mom, Mrs. Burton, did not smile. She looked Lina up and down and said, "You're smaller than I thought." Josh said nothing. Lina felt her heart drop. That night, Lina sat on the edge of the bed. Josh was on his phone. She looked at her suitcase. It was still half full. She had not unpacked everything. Maybe she wouldn't need to. She pulled out a small blue book. It was her journal. She had written in it since she was a girl. Now, she picked up her pen and wrote, "Day 1. I miss home already. They don't like me here." Every morning, Lina tried to smile. She cooked eggs, toast, and coffee for Josh and his mother. Josh said, "Thanks." His mom said, "The toast is dry." Lina said nothing, but in her mind, she wrote the words down. "Mrs. Burton does not like my cooking, but Josh ate it all." Later that day, Mrs. Burton talked to her son in the hallway. Lina stood close enough to hear. "She's using you," Mrs. Burton said. "Send her back before it's too late." Josh didn't reply. Lina's hands shook, but she didn't cry. That night she wrote, "They want to send me back, but I have my eyes open now." Lina wore her yellow sweater on Sundays. It was from her sister back home. It made her feel warm and strong. Mrs. Burton saw it and frowned. "Why do you always wear that bright thing?" she asked. Lina smiled and said, "Because I like sunshine." Josh chuckled. Mrs. Burton didn't. Later that day, Lina found the sweater in the laundry room, cut with scissors. Her heart broke. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She went to her room, opened her blue journal, and wrote, "Today she cut my sweater. I'm writing it all down. One day they'll read it." Lina was cleaning the house when she found a door she hadn't seen before. It was in the hallway behind a tall shelf. It led to the basement. She opened it slowly. The stairs creaked. Down. There she saw old boxes, dusty furniture, and a pile of old photo albums. One had Josh's baby pictures. He looked happy in those. Then she found another box, full of letters. They were from Josh's ex-girlfriend. She took a deep breath and put the box back. But that night she wrote in her journal, "Josh loved someone else. I wonder if he still does. I'm not the first, but maybe I'll be the last." Josh's Aunt May came to visit. She was short and round and wore bright pink lipstick. She gave Lina a big hug. Lina smiled for real this time. "I've heard all about you," Aunt May said. "Don't mind his mother, she doesn't even like me." She laughed loud and held Lina's hand. That evening, Aunt May said to Mrs. Burton, "You should be kind to that girl. She's your daughter now." Mrs. Burton frowned and walked out. Lina looked at Aunt May and whispered, "Thank you." She didn't feel so alone. In her journal, she wrote, "Aunt May is light in this cold house. I needed that today." Josh was quiet most days. He left for work early and came home late. When Lina asked how his day was, he only said, "Fine. One night." Lina tried to kiss him. He pulled away. "I'm tired," he said. Her chest hurt like someone stepped on it. She sat alone in the living room. The TV was on, but she wasn't watching. She was thinking. Why was Josh growing cold? Was it her, or was it something else? Later, she picked up her pen and wrote, "Josh won't touch me, not even a hug. I think his love is running out. But I'm still here." Lina wanted to feel closer to Josh. Maybe if she made his favorite food, he would talk more. She looked for his old recipe book in the hallway closet, but the closet was locked. She asked Josh, "What's in there?" He looked surprised. "Just stuff. You don't need to go in there." Later that night, when everyone was asleep, Lina pressed her ear to the door. She heard a soft beep, like a phone, or maybe a camera. She didn't open the door, but she wrote, "There's a secret behind that door. I'll find out. I always do." Lina signed up for English classes at the community center. It was free, and it gave her something to do outside the house. She met a woman named Erica who wore jeans and had a loud laugh. "You're funny," Erica told Lina. "You just need to speak more." They ate lunch on the steps after class. Lina talked about her life. Not everything, but enough. Erica listened. Then she asked, "Are you happy?" Lina paused. "I don't know," she said. That night, Lina wrote, "Today, I spoke to someone who saw me. Not just as a wife, but as Lina. Mrs. Burton always locked her bedroom door. But that night, she forgot. Lina walked past and heard her talking on the phone. She's too quiet, Mrs. Burton said. But I'm watching her. One mistake and she's gone. Lina froze. Her hands turned cold. They really wanted to send her back, like a box, like a problem. She tiptoed back to her room. She didn't cry. She opened her journal and wrote with a firm hand. She thinks I'll make a mistake, but I see everything. And one day, this book will scream the truth. Lina made spaghetti and garlic bread. It was Josh's favorite. She even made a small salad with ranch dressing, just how he liked it. When dinner was ready, Josh didn't come downstairs. Mrs. Burton came in instead. She looked at the table, then at Lina, and said, "Trying too hard, aren't you?" Lina stayed quiet. Mrs. Burton picked up her plate. As she turned to walk away, the plate slipped and fell. Crash! The food, the plate, it all broke on the floor. Mrs. Burton said coldly, "You should have held it better." That night, Lina wrote, "She broke the plate, not me. But I picked up the pieces. I always do." One morning, Lina woke up to laughter downstairs. Josh was smiling, really smiling at his phone. "Who are you talking to?" she asked gently. He looked up too fast. "Just a friend," he said, putting the phone away. Then he left the room. Later, when she folded laundry, she saw the phone buzz. A message popped up. "I missed last weekend already. Same time next week?" Her hands trembled. Josh was hiding something. Or someone. That night, Lina didn't cry. She wrote, "He has secrets too. Now I have more reason to keep writing." Lina was dusting the corner of the kitchen when she saw it. A small black camera tucked into the bookshelf above the fridge. It had a tiny red light, blinking. She stood very still. They were watching her. She wondered how long it had been there. She wondered what they had seen. Her dancing while cooking, her sighing at night, or worse, her writing. Lina went to her room and tucked the journal deeper under her mattress. Then she wrote in a new notebook she hid in her purse. "They watch me, but I'm watching them too." Erica, Lina's friend from English class, said, "If you ever need help, my cousin is a lawyer, free for women in trouble." Lina smiled politely, but inside her heart raced. Trouble? Was she in trouble? Or just trapped? That Friday, Lina went to the law office. The building was small but clean. She told the woman at the desk, "I just want to ask questions." The lawyer listened quietly. Then she said, "If they ever try to force you to leave, call me. You have rights. You are not a pet. You are a person." That night, Lina wrote, "I'm not powerless. I just needed to hear it. And now I believe it." It was Mrs. Burton's birthday. Lina baked a chocolate cake from scratch. She even wrote "Happy Birthday, Mom" in yellow icing. Everyone sat around the table. Josh gave his mom a necklace. She smiled. Then she looked at Lina's cake and said, "Store-bought would have looked better." Lina blinked, but smiled. "I hope it still tastes good." Mrs. Burton cut the cake, gave herself the biggest slice, and gave Lina the smallest. Josh said nothing. That night, Lina wrote, "She tried to shrink me today, but I still sat at the table, and my cake was sweet, like me." One evening, Lina reached under her bed and her journal was gone. Her heart stopped. She searched everywhere. Drawer, closet, pillowcase, nothing. She ran to the laundry room and peeked inside the trash. Empty. She walked past Mrs. Burton's room. The door was closed. She swore she heard whispering. Later, she asked Josh, "Have you seen my blue book?" He looked confused. "No. What book?" That night, Lina wrote in her second notebook, the one in her purse. "The first book is gone, but I remember every word, and I will write louder now." Josh came home early. "We need to talk," he said. His voice was serious. Lina walked into the living room. Mrs. Burton sat on the couch with crossed arms. Josh stood beside her like a guard. Lina sat on the edge of the chair. "We think you're unhappy here," Mrs. Burton said. "Maybe it's better if you go back home." Lina looked at Josh. "Is that what you want?" Josh looked away. "I don't know." Lina stood up. Calm. Still. "I won't go just because you say so," she said softly. That night, she wrote, "They sat me down to push me out. But I didn't fall. I stood taller." Lina needed to protect her words now. She couldn't trust her journal to stay safe. So she typed every note into an old laptop Erica gave her. She saved them on a flash drive shaped like a little pink heart. She kept it on her keychain right beside her house key. "I will not forget what happened," she whispered as she typed. "Not one day." She backed everything up with care. Names, dates, every small evil wrapped in smiles. That night, she wrote in her new digital journal, "They stole one book, but now I carry the truth in my pocket." Late one night, Lina's phone buzzed. A strange number. The message said, "Be careful. Not everyone in that house wants you safe." She stared at the screen. Her hands shook. Was it a threat or a warning? Who sent it? The number wasn't saved. She replied, "Who are you?" No answer. She walked to the window and looked out. The street was quiet. But something felt different now, like someone was watching the watchers. That night she wrote, "I have eyes on me, but maybe I also have an ally, or a ghost. Either way, I'm ready." While cleaning the living room bookshelf, Lina noticed an old book sticking out. When she pulled it, something slipped out, a sealed envelope with Josh's name on it. She turned it over. It had no stamp. It looked personal. She paused. Then she opened it. Inside was a letter from another woman. It said, "Josh, if you change your mind, I'm still here. I know she's just here for papers." The date was 2 weeks after their wedding. Lina's hands were cold. Her eyes burned, but she didn't cry. That night she wrote, "So this is what they think of me. A passport, a paper, not a person. But I am more." Lina met Erica after class. They sat on a park bench under a tree. "Tell me the truth," Erica said. "Do you feel safe in that house?" Lina looked down. "No, not really." Erica took her hand. "Then we make a plan. You won't be stuck forever, but we'll do it. Smart, quiet. Your voice matters, Lina." Lina felt her chest rise, like she could breathe again. That night, she didn't write in fear. She wrote in fire. "Erica believes in me, and now I believe in me too. They don't know who they brought into that house." That weekend, Josh found Lina in the kitchen reading her phone. "Who are you always texting?" he snapped. "No one. Just my friend Erica." Josh grabbed the phone and threw it on the table. You're getting too bold. You're my wife. Act like it. Lina backed away. Her heart raced. Josh had never yelled like that before. She picked up her phone and walked out of the kitchen. Her hands were still shaking. That night, she wrote, "He showed me another side today. Not the soft one, but I saw it, and I won't forget it." Erica gave Lina an idea. You need money, even a little. Start saving. Open an account in your name only. Lina walked to the local bank the next day. The woman behind the counter smiled. "Do you have ID?" she asked. Lina nodded and slid it over. Her hands trembled. It felt like the first door she opened just for herself. That afternoon, Lina transferred $20 from her grocery money. It wasn't much, but it was a start. That night, she wrote, "Today I opened a bank account. It's small, but it's mine. My first secret win." Mrs. Burton stopped Lina in the hallway. Her voice was cold and sharp. "You think we don't see what you're doing? You think you're smart? You're just another girl who got lucky." Lina stared at her. She didn't speak. Mrs. Burton leaned closer. "If you want to stay, stop acting like this is your home. You're here because Josh let you be." Lina held her breath, but she didn't cry. Later, she stood in front of her mirror and whispered, "I am home." Then she wrote, "She thinks I'm lucky to be here, but one day she'll know I made my own luck." After that fight, Lina felt numb. She cleaned the bathroom in silence. As she wiped the mirror, she saw her reflection, and something in her snapped. She picked up the soap dish and threw it at the mirror. It cracked down the middle. Her face split in two. Josh stormed in. "What's wrong with you?" Lina looked at him, her voice calm. "You promised to love me. Do you even remember?" He said nothing. That night, Lina sat quietly with her laptop. Her entry was short. "Today I cracked a mirror, but maybe I was already broken. Now I begin to put myself back together." Erica texted Lina, "Come stay with me tonight, just for a break. I have space." Lina packed a small bag and left after dinner. She told Josh, "Erica needs help. I'll be back tomorrow." He didn't argue. Maybe he was glad. At Erica's, the lights were warm. The couch was soft. They watched a funny movie and laughed with popcorn in their laps. Lina hadn't laughed like that in months. That night, she slept without fear. And before bed, she typed into her laptop, "Tonight I slept in peace. It was just one night, but it felt like freedom." The next morning, Erica introduced Lina to Grace, her older neighbor who worked at a women's support center. Grace listened quietly as Lina shared parts of her story. Not all, just enough. "You are not weak," Grace said. "You're surviving in silence. But silence is not your only tool." She gave Lina a folder. Inside were pamphlets, hotline numbers, and a card that said, "Your story matters." That night back home, Lina read every page in her room while Mrs. Burton watched TV downstairs. She wrote, "Today I met someone who called me brave, and maybe I believe her." Lina left her keychain on the counter. She had used her flash drive at the library that day and forgot to tuck it away. Josh picked it up. "What's this?" She froze. "Just a school thing," she lied, reaching for it. He held it up. "Since when do you go to school?" Lina smiled. "I'm learning English, I told you." He gave it back, but his eyes didn't trust her. She knew it. That night, she made 2 copies of the files and hid them, one in Erica's house, one in Grace's folder. She wrote, "If he ever reads it, he'll know the truth. But by then, I'll be ready." Lina looked at her wedding ring. It used to feel like love. Now it felt like a weight. She tried cleaning it that morning. She scrubbed and scrubbed, but it didn't shine, just like her marriage. Josh walked by and saw her. "You really trying to fix everything, huh?" She looked at him. "I'm trying to remember why I'm here." He didn't answer. That night, She held the ring in her hand and typed, "This ring once meant forever. Now it means I stayed too long, but not for much longer." Lina opened her email and saw a message from her sister. "Mama is sick. She asks about you every day. Can you call soon?" Tears filled Lina's eyes. She hadn't spoken to her mother in weeks. She was afraid to, afraid her voice would break. She stepped outside, sat on the porch, and made the call. When Mama's voice came through, Lina couldn't hold it anymore. She cried like a child. "Baby, are you safe?" Mama asked. "I will be," Lina whispered. That night she wrote, "Mama still believes in me, and I want to become someone she can be proud of." Mrs. Burton made dinner that night, beef stew and rice. Lina helped set the table. She tried to keep the peace. But halfway through the meal, Mrs. Burton slammed her spoon down. "I don't trust her," she said to Josh. "She's hiding something." Lina stood up slowly. "You don't have to trust me," she said calmly. "But one day you'll wish you had." Mrs. Burton laughed coldly. "Is that a threat?" "No," Lina said. "It's a promise." That night she wrote with fire in her fingers, "They want war. I won't give them noise, but I will give them truth. And truth always wins." Lina started recording voice notes on her phone. Just in case, she whispered quietly into the mic. "It's Tuesday. Mrs. Burton said I was a mistake again. Josh didn't defend me, but I smiled anyway. I always do." She saved it in a secret folder behind fake photo albums. She called it Memories. Every night she recorded a new one, not for pity, for proof. She also wrote, "If they ever say I lied, I'll press play, and the world will hear what I lived through." One morning, Josh stood by the kitchen door. "I'm sorry," he said. "I've been distant. I don't know what I'm doing anymore." Lina looked up from her tea. "Do you love me?" He opened his mouth, then closed it. "I don't know." Lina's heart didn't break. It had already been cracked so many times it just felt tired. "Thank you for your honesty," she said. That night she wrote, "He doesn't love me. At least now I know. And knowing is better than guessing." Late one evening there was a knock. Lina opened the door slowly and saw a woman standing there. She was tall, with red lipstick and curly hair. "I'm looking for Josh," the woman said. "He used to be mine." Lina blinked. "He's not here. Who are you?" The woman gave a small smile. "Someone who knows your pain." She handed Lina a note and walked away. Inside, Lina opened the paper. It read, "They hurt you to break you, but I see a woman they can't destroy." That night, Lina wrote, "A stranger saw my pain, and it made me feel less alone." Lina sat by the window with her tea. The house was quiet, too quiet. She thought about all the times she stayed silent, all the insults, all the little wounds no one saw. But now, there was a voice inside her. It said, "You are not small." It said, "They don't own your future." She whispered, back, "I hear you." Then she picked up her phone and recorded a new voice note. "I am not a victim. I am a witness, and one day I'll testify." That night she wrote, "My silence was their comfort, but not anymore." That Sunday, Lina dressed in her best jeans and a soft blue sweater. She looked strong, calm. At breakfast, Mrs. Burton said, "Trying to impress someone?" Lina smiled. "No, just feeling good today." Josh looked at her. "You look different." "I am different," she said, and took a bite of toast. She laughed softly to herself. Not because they were kind, but because they still didn't know what she was becoming. That night she wrote, "They think I'm still afraid, but now I wear courage like a second skin." Lina started packing a small bag, just in case. She folded one pair of jeans, 2 shirts, her documents, the pink flash drive, and the lawyer's number. She hid the bag behind the water heater in the basement, where no one ever looked. It wasn't running away. It was preparation, a plan, a step. She whispered to herself, "Not yet, but soon." That night she wrote, "My bag is ready. My story is saved. I don't know the day yet, but the day is coming." Lina had one dress she loved, a long green one from her wedding. She kept it folded in her closet, untouched. One day she came home from class and smelled smoke. In the backyard, Mrs. Burton stood beside a small fire pit. Lina ran closer and saw green fabric in the flames. "My dress!" she cried. Mrs. Burton shrugged. "Old things need to go. You're too attached to silly memories." Lina stood still, shaking. But she didn't scream. She turned and walked back inside. That night, she wrote, "She burned my dress, but not my worth. You can't burn what already lives inside me." Lina sat at the library alone. She took out a sheet of paper and began writing, not to Josh, not to Mrs. Burton, but to herself. "Dear Lina, you have come far. You did not break. You are not invisible. And soon, you will walk away with your head high. Love, the stronger you." She folded the letter and placed it in her purse. It wasn't for today. It was for the day she would need reminding. That night, she typed, "I finally wrote to the one person I forgot to love. Me." Lina's phone buzzed just after dinner. It was Grace. Her voice was calm but firm. "Lina, your visa status is stronger than you think. You don't need to stay married to stay safe." Lina sat down slowly. "I don't?" "No," Grace said. "And if they ever try to threaten you with that, call me immediately." A breath escaped Lina's chest like air from a balloon. All this time, she thought they held her future in their hands. That night, she wrote, "They lied. I am not trapped. I have a way out, and now I have the truth." It was late. Everyone was asleep. Lina sat on the floor beside her bed, knees to her chest. She looked at a photo of her mother. She missed home. She missed kindness. She missed being seen. Tears rolled down her cheeks, slow and silent. Then, something inside her said, "This is the last time." She wiped her face, stood up, and looked at herself in the mirror. Her eyes were red, but not weak. That night she wrote, "I cried tonight, maybe for the last time. Tomorrow, I rise." At the grocery store, Lina ran into one of Josh's co-workers. "You're his wife, right?" the woman asked. "You always look so calm." Lina smiled. "Calm is something I practice." "You must be lucky," the woman said. Lina almost laughed. "Some days, yes. Other days, I make my own luck." She walked away, head high. Calm outside, but inside power hummed like thunder. That night she wrote, "They see the smile, not the storm I walk through, but one day they'll hear the thunder in my steps." That evening, Josh came home angry. "You've been talking to people," he said. "Grace, Erica, even the lawyer. Are you trying to ruin me?" Lina stood tall. "I'm trying to save me." He stepped close. Too close. "If you ever try to leave," she raised her hand. "Don't finish that sentence. You'll regret it." For the first time, he paused. He saw something in her eyes, something new. That night, Lina wrote, "He tried to scare me, but I saw the fear in his eyes. He knows now. He doesn't own me." Lina sat on the edge of the bed. She pulled out her pink flash drive and stared at it for a long time. She had copied everything. Every note, every voice memo, every entry from the stolen blue journal. It was now backed up on Grace's laptop, Erica's cloud folder, and even her own locked email. She opened her laptop one last time in that house and wrote, "This is the last page I will ever write under this roof. The girl who entered this house is gone. The woman I've become is ready to walk out." Erica honked the horn twice. Lina stepped outside with her small bag. No tears, no goodbye, just quiet steps and clear eyes. Mrs. Burton saw her through the window and rushed outside. "Where do you think you're going?" Lina paused. "To a future that doesn't include your poison." Josh stood behind his mother. "You'll regret this." Lina turned back once. "I already regret staying this long." She got in the car. The engine roared to life. That night in Erica's apartment, she typed, "I left. I finally left. I didn't run. I walked. Like I had every right to." 3 days later, Josh received an envelope from Lina's lawyer. Inside was a short note. "Do not contact me. All communication will go through my attorney." Attached were records of abuse, recordings, and journal entries. Every truth documented. Every lie exposed. Josh sat in silence. Mrs. Burton read the papers with shaking hands. They thought she was weak. They thought she'd disappear. But Lina's words were stronger than her silence ever was. At Grace's kitchen table, Lina wrote, "My words reached them. Not my hands, not my voice. Just my truth." And that was enough. Lina moved into a small room above a flower shop. It wasn't fancy, but it was clean, warm, and hers. She placed her bag on the bed, took a deep breath, and looked around. For the first time in a long time, no one was watching her. No one was waiting for her to fail. She hung up one picture, her mother's smile. Then she lit a candle and sat in the quiet. That night she wrote, "I have my own key now, my own walls, my own peace, and it's more beautiful than any mansion full of lies." 2 weeks later, Lina received a letter from her little sister. "Mama says she feels better now that you're free. She prays for you every day, and I'm proud of you. I tell all my friends my sister is the bravest woman I know." Lina read the letter over and over. She pressed it to her heart and cried, not from pain, but from healing. That night she wrote, "They see me now, not as a victim, but as someone who kept going. My family's pride is my crown." Erica invited Lina to a small get-together with friends. They had pizza, music, and old movies playing on a projector. Someone told a silly joke, and Lina laughed. Not a fake laugh, not a polite one. A deep belly laugh that shook her shoulders and brought tears to her eyes. Everyone stared, then laughed, with her. Erica smiled wide. "That's the sound I've been waiting for." That night, Lina wrote, "Tonight I laughed without fear. I remembered who I was before the silence, and I loved that girl." Lina walked into a small bakery with her shoulders back and her head high. The manager, a kind older man, looked over her resume. "You don't have a lot of experience," he said gently. Lina nodded. "But I learn fast, and I don't give up." He smiled. "You start Monday." She walked out holding the job offer like a trophy. That night she wrote, "I got a job. My first real job. No one gave it to me out of pity. I earned it, and I'll grow from here." A week later, Lina received a message request on social media. It was from Josh. "I hope you're doing okay. I'm sorry about everything." She stared at the screen. No anger, no sadness, just peace. She didn't reply. She deleted the message and blocked him. Then she stood up and made herself a cup of tea. Peppermint, her favorite. That night she wrote, "He wanted a reply, but I gave him silence. Because some answers are not owed, they're earned. And he didn't earn mine." Grace invited Lina to a women's event at the center. When it was time to speak, Lina stood in front of the crowd. Her palms were sweaty, but her voice was steady. "I stayed in a house where I lost myself," she said. "But I found my voice in the pages I hid, and now I don't need to hide anymore." People clapped. Some cried. That night, Lina wrote, "I spoke out loud. My story is no longer locked in journals or flash drives. It's out in the world, and it's powerful." After Lina's speech, a young woman approached her outside the community center. She was quiet, barely looking up. "I'm still in it," she whispered. "What you got out of?" Lina took her hand. "Then don't let go. Start writing. Start saving. Start seeing. One day you'll leave too." The girl nodded, tears in her eyes. That night, Lina wrote, "Today I helped a girl who looked like yesterday's me. Maybe my pain had a purpose after all." Lina walked past a bookstore and saw a display of beautiful journals. One caught her eye, a red one, soft leather, gold trim. It looked bold, free. She bought it. That night in her room, she opened to the first page and wrote, "This is not the story of pain. This is the story of rising. Not the journal I hid, but the journal I carry, proud and open. This is day one." She smiled, and she didn't hide it under her bed. Grace came by with tea and warm bread. The two women sat on the small balcony, feet up, laughter easy between them. "You don't look like someone who's been through fire," Grace said. "I don't feel burned anymore," Lina replied. Grace handed her an envelope. "Scholarship, night school. It's yours if you want it." Lina stared at it, tears welling in her eyes. "I want it," she said. That night she wrote, "I used to beg for space. Now I'm being handed doors, and I'm walking through every single one." Lina walked into her first night class. Intro to Women's Studies. The room was full of women of all colors, ages, and stories. Some had babies, some wore business suits, some, like her, wore quiet courage. The professor smiled. "Here, we learn how to speak, and keep speaking." Lina took out a notebook and wrote her name on the top line. For the first time in years, she didn't feel small in a classroom. That night she wrote, "Education is not just school. It's choosing yourself." And today, I made that choice. It was Lina's birthday. No cake, no gifts, no crowded room. She made herself a small dinner, played her favorite music, wore her yellow sweater, rebought and brighter than ever. She danced in her room. She laughed at her own jokes. And when she sat down to eat, she whispered, "Happy birthday, Lina. I'm proud of you." That night, she wrote, "This was my first birthday alone, but it didn't feel empty. It felt free." A letter came in the mail, official, heavy. Inside, confirmation that her divorce was final, done, signed, complete. No more ties, no more fear, no more waiting. She folded the paper neatly and slid it into her red journal. Not as a wound, but as proof. She walked outside and looked at the sky. It felt bigger somehow. That night she wrote, "I'm free, not half free, not hoping to be. Fully, completely, finally, free." Weeks later, Lina received an envelope in the mail. The handwriting was familiar. She opened it and blinked in disbelief. It was a wedding invitation. Josh, marrying someone new. She stared at it for a while. Then calmly, she placed it in the trash. No anger, no pain, no need to answer. She had already moved on. That night she wrote, "He's starting over. Good for him. But I'm not looking back. I'm building something better, from the ground up." Grace asked if Lina would allow her story to be published, anonymously in a journal that helped immigrant women feel less alone. Lina thought about it, then smiled. "Use my real name." "Are you sure?" Grace asked. Lina nodded. "Yes, because I'm not hiding anymore." A month later, women across the city read about her. Some cried, some wrote letters, some made calls. Lina read them with full eyes and a full heart. That night she wrote, "The journal they tried to take from me has become a voice for others. I was the story. Now I'm the storyteller." It was Sunday. The sun was out. Birds were loud, and Lina was planting flowers outside her little apartment. A girl walked by and said, "Your flowers are pretty." Lina smiled. "Thank you. They remind me that new things grow, even after winter." She stood up, wiped her hands, and looked around. This wasn't the country she was born in, but it was the one she had built herself into. She went inside, opened her red journal one last time, and wrote, "This is the end of the journal, but not the end of me. I am not what they said. I am what I proved."